أيتها العارفين وفقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل واهدنا إلى سواء السبيل يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم يا فتاح يا عليم اللهم إنا نسألك العلم اللدني ومشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نويت تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم والدعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله مرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. Alhamdulillah, all praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has given us this opportunity to gather here on a Monday morning. I imagine there are people who start their week doing all sorts of things, and Alhamdulillah we are here. We are gathering here on Zoom, starting the week. The first thing that we do on a Monday is to study the Arabic language, the language of the Quran, the language of the Ahlul Jannah. So inshallah ta'ala, this is a great blessing, a great ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq so that we can be consistent upon this activity, inshallah ta'ala. Right. So in our syllabus, the one that I've put together, we are supposed to do the 14 pronouns in the Arabic language today. So just want to check, whether you all are familiar with Arabic pronouns. Do you have any experience with the Arabic pronouns? Do you know what they are? Okay, who doesn't know at all? Who's never gone through? Never gone through. Okay. This, how about Muhammad Father? Muhammad Father, how about you? Have you gone through before?
Never.
Haven't. Okay. Right. So we'll go through the Arabic pronouns, inshallah ta'ala, one by one. And there are more pronouns in the Arabic language than there are in the English language. Yeah. And not to mention the Malay language. So there it's quite a handful to deal with. And in fact, on a very practical note, if you listen to Arabic speech, some of the pronouns are not actually used in Arabic speech. However, nonetheless, we still have to study them because our objective is to be able to read books, to be able to know when a pronoun is used, who it refers to or what it refers to. So this is actually a very important exercise, and it will play a big role in us understanding Arabic sentence structures, stories, and also the next thing that we will do have a direct relationship with the pronouns itself, which is actually to break down Arabic verbs into their corresponding pronouns. Okay, so this lesson is a very important lesson. Actually, every lesson is a very important lesson, but in particular, okay, just pay attention to this lesson, inshallah ta'ala. And inshallah ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open doors for you to understand the Arabic language. Okay, time. So Arabic language has 14 pronouns. If you look at the Arabic verb chart that I sent to you just now. Okay. Do you have it? I sent on WhatsApp just now. So it looks like this, right? So this is the entire list of Arabic pronouns, okay? So first we will go through, I've put it on a verb chart, so which tells you that actually the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to learn how to put verbs into, or rather link them with their corresponding pronouns, okay? So we're going to go through each one of them. I'll say the pronouns out loud, and then I'll tell you what they mean, what they refer to, and then you can, inshallah ta'ala, ask me questions as we go along. Okay. So طيب, so we have the first pronoun, and this is how we usually represent verbs also in this form. Okay. So this pronoun is huwa. You might have come across it a lot in the Quran. Just use a you might have come across it in the Quran, Kul huwallahu ahad. Say that He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is unity, is what we would call in Malay as tunggal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala itu dia maha tunggal. Okay, so huwa refers to Him. Okay, so in particular, we will break it down like this. Okay, huwa is a pronoun that refers to, okay, he. Okay, so in Arabic we call this ghaib. Okay, mudhakkar mufrad. Okay, ghaib, mudhakkar and mufrad. Okay, ghaib means he's not someone who is present in the conversation. So he's not someone that's being addressed in the conversation. Rather, we are talking about someone who is absent from that discussion, not in the sense that he's not a topic of discussion, but rather he's not the one that is directly being addressed. So he's not a first person. He is a third person. Okay, ghaib. So it carries the same meaning as in Malay, we say ghaib. Yeah, so that means the person is not around, so we say he. Yeah, that's why we say that it's not in reference to a person who is actually in that conversation. Right? The second word, mudhakkar, refers to a male pronoun. Okay, so this is something that's quite new for those of you who are studying the Arabic language for the first time, unless you've studied maybe Latin languages, you've studied French or Italian. I was told that they also have feminine and masculine pronouns. So when we say something is mudhakkar, that means we refer to we are referring to the masculine. Okay, so the masculine here doesn't just refer to human beings, not just animals, even inanimate objects. So like a car, it's a sayara, so it would be a feminine object, but the baits would be a masculine object. Okay, so this is something that we have to know. There are some indicators, like for example, when I mentioned just now, sayara is a car, and the indicator that it is feminine is the ta marbuta at the end. Okay, so we call it mu'annath, so it would be mu'annath. Okay, but the bait is something that is mudhakkar. However, there are some things that are not known by any indicator, and we just know them because that's how the Arabs would refer to them. So for example, the same word that I used just now, a bait is a house, yeah, a dar is also a house, but the bait is something that is mudhakkar, whereas when we use the term dar, it would be something that is mu'annath. Okay, and how do we know this? The Arabs say that this is sima'i. That means we hear it from Arabs, and by Arabs we don't mean modern Arabs, but we mean classical Arabs. Yeah, so this was done at the time, maybe just past the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There were people like Imam Shafi'i. He was a linguist. He went around. He stayed with Bedouins whose language were untainted by modernity, the modernity of that time. So he went around and he surveyed. He took note of how they use certain words, how they structured their sentences, and then he formulated, that this is how the Arabs would say it. Therefore, this is afsah. This is more fasih. This is more eloquent, than saying it in another way. So this work has been done. So what we do is we just take from them. Okay, so some words, they don't have indicators. We just take it as it is. Okay, if it's mudhakkar, then it's mudhakkar. If it's mu'annath, it's mu'annath. Okay, and some words are also obviously mudhakkar and mu'annath because they actually refer to human beings. So Like for example, the name Zainab, because it's a female name, even though it has no ta' marbuta at the end, it would still be mu'annath and not mudhakkar. So we would still consider it to be feminine and not masculine. Okay. So the third thing that I mentioned here is that this is mufrad. Okay, so mufrad means singular. Okay, so it's a singular as opposed to jama', which is plural. So he here, huwa, refers to the ghaib that is mudhakkar and mufrad. Okay, so it is absent, it is masculine, and it is singular. Okay, so this is something that you should take note of about pronouns. Okay. The second pronoun that we have here is huma. Okay, so huma here refers to two times he. Okay, so but it could also refer to two times she. Okay, so this would be ghaib. Okay, it could be mudhakkar or muannath. It could be mudhakkar or muannath. Okay, and it is not singular, but it is something that we call muthanna. Okay, muthanna. This is three dots, by the way. So, sorry, where is it? This is three dots. The triangle refers to three dots. So this is a noon. So muthanna. Okay, so it refers to ithnain. That means there are two people that we are speaking about. Okay, so huma is a dual pronoun. Okay, so this is something that again is unique about the Arabic language. I've not found any language that actually has a dual form, dual pronoun. Maybe there is, but I've not come across it. So when we say huma, we are referring to the ghaib. It could be mudhakkar, it could be muannath, but here it is we're referring to the mudhakkar because we'll go through the same domir, the same verb. Okay, domir is a verb. Sorry, is a pronoun. Domir is a pronoun, and domair is the plural. Okay, so we're referring to the same pronoun, but in another category. Okay, so we'll leave that till later. So it could be mudhakkar or muannath, but here it's mudhakkar and it is muthanna. Okay, so that means it refers to the dual type. The next verb that, the next pronoun that we have here is home. Okay, so home is three or more. Three or more, and it is mudhakkar. So it is ghaib. Okay, mudhakkar and jama'. So it is the equivalent of what we would say in the English language as they. Okay, but in this case, it is they that is mudhakkar. However, if you let's say you're referring to a group of people where there is a mix of both men and women, okay, men and women, then we would still use home because the mudhakkar, the masculine actually takes precedence over the feminine. Okay, it's and this is not what do you call that? This is not like a sexist statement. This is how the language is structured. Okay, it is like that. Okay, right. Okay, and then jama' refers to three or more. Okay, so when there are three or more males and females or male only, and they are not part of this conversation, meaning that they are not mukhatab, that means we are not actually addressing them, they are ghaib, then we use the pronoun hum. Okay, taib. The next one, okay, let's just put this into another category. Okay, so this is the mu'annath. Okay, so the next category refers to females. Okay, so this would be the equivalent of she. So this is ghaib, okay, or ghaibah, because it is a, we're talking about a feminine, okay, that is mu'annath. Oh, see, maybe I move this here. Can I move this here? Okay, yep. Mu'annath, and this is mufrad, okay, or mufradah. Type. So this is she referring to the ghaibah, the mu'annath, okay, that means she's not present in that conversation, not being addressed in the conversation. It is mu'annath, okay, so it is feminine and it is singular. Type. The second pronoun that we have here is huma, so this would be 2 times she. Okay, so again, this would be ghaib, this would be mu'annath, but this is muthanna. Okay, muthanna, meaning that there's 2. So if we're talking about 2 ladies, Zainab and Fatima, then we would refer to them as huma. Okay, so huma, we can say huma taji'ani, so they came. Okay, so it could be something like that. Huma Fatima wa Zainab taji'ani, so huma taji'ani. So we are referring to 2 people, so that's how we would present it in the Arabic language. Okay, the next pronoun is hunna. So hunna is what would be the equivalent of home for men that we talked about just now. Okay, so hunna is 3 or more, okay, 3 or more females. Okay, so it's ghaib, mu'annath, and jama'. Okay, so we would use the pronoun hunna. Type. So all these, okay, the first 3, or rather the first 6 verbs that we used just now, okay, these are all ghaib. Okay, meaning that this is referring to a third person. The ones from here downwards, okay, until here, this is something that we call mukhatab. Okay, mukhatab, that means this is someone who is actually addressed in the conversation. That means we're actually speaking to him. So the person is actually right in front of you. Is someone who is present. Okay, so sometimes they refer to it as someone who is hadir, and hadir means the same thing as it does in Malay. That means the person is actually there in front of you. We are actually talking to them instead of about them. Okay, so the first 3 are male. So we put a val there to indicate that it's muzakkar. So this would be you, referring to a male. Okay, so this is someone who is hadir, okay, muzakkar, and mufrad. Okay, you. So if I'm talking to you, I would refer to you as anta. Okay, so that's the pronoun that I will use. The second one, okay, is hadir, muzakkar, but it's not mufrad, but rather it is muthanna. Okay, it's a dual. So 2 times you for a male. Right? And the third one would be jama'. That's the only difference. Okay? So it's someone who is, or a group of people who are actually present in front of you. Or rather, I shouldn't do this. I should do this. This is 3 or more. You. Okay? So when I'm talking to a group of people in front of me, they are hadir. Okay? They are hadir. They are mudhakkar. Okay? They could be a mix of mudhakkar and muannath. But if there are mudhakkar present, there are males present, then we would just use antum, okay, and jama' more than 3. Okay, 3 or more. Sorry, 3 or more. Taib. And then finally, this is for muannath. So again, they would also likewise be hadir, okay, but they would be muannath, yeah, and we would be mufrad, anti. Okay, that's what we use. So you, when you're talking about a female, you're talking to a female, okay, and she's present in front of you, then you would use anti. Okay, so we'll just indicate fa here to show that this is muannath. Okay, so likewise, 2 times you for a female would be antuma. Okay, so all this muthanna. Okay, and likewise 3 or more. You for female, then we would call this, we would use the pronoun antunna. Okay, so this refers to the, sorry, the jama'. Okay, so you would notice that there are some words that are similar. We use it similarly for both the masculine and the feminine, like huma. Okay, so for dual, for the muthanna, okay, we refer to both 2 men and 2 women. We would refer to them both as huma, okay, when they are ghaib. And likewise, when we are addressing them, the dual, okay, would also be the same. Okay, when we are talking about, or we're talking to, okay, 2 men and 2 females, okay, 2 women, we would also use antuma. Okay, so they are the same. So how would we know whether we're talking to, or if we are reading a text, you know, whether the writer is referring to 2 men or 2 women? We would know it from the context. So there are some things that we have to understand the context to know what they are referring to. Okay, right. So the last category, okay, is something that we call in Arabic mutakallim. Okay, it refers to the speaker himself. So this is in the speaker's voice. Okay, when it's in the speaker's voice, we would use ana, meaning me, and or nahnu, meaning we. Okay, and there's no differentiation between a masculine or a male speaker and a female one. So we would still use ana and nahnu. Okay, and one thing for you to note also, because there are elongations. Okay, elongations here, we call them mad. In Arabic, you would know this from tajweed. Okay, there are elongation here. You see antuma, antuma here, huma, huma. Okay, so for ana, this is not an elongation, so we don't say ana. We just say ana. Okay, it's just there because it's just represented in writing without being vocalized. So this is something that we call yuktab la yuntab. Okay, so that means that we just find it in writing, but we don't have to express it out. Okay, and then nahnu refers to us. Again, doesn't matter whether the speaker is or rather it's a group of men or a group of women, you know, who are speaking. We would still use the same pronoun nahnu. Okay, طيب. Any questions so far?
Ustaz, what if it's a couple? Macam one man, one male, one female. Do we still use huma, referring to a couple?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we would. Okay. And in fact, I mean, if you look at huma, like I said, there's no huma, the dual has it doesn't actually distinguish between the masculine and the feminine. So the pronoun that we use would be it's you could say that actually it's universal, whether it's one man, one woman, you know, two men or two women, it would still be huma and antuma because we don't differentiate the dual. But it's just there because when we do the verb forms, again, we have to actually break it down. And we can see the derivation from there when we do the verb forms. That's why we do it in that pattern. So when you memorize it, you have to memorize it in this format, okay? In the format that I've laid it out. Okay, so it actually has to be memorized like that because there will be a period of time where we will stop saying huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, but rather we would just use the verb or we would just use a noun, and then you would know what we are referring to. And we will actually mention it when we are doing our verb exercises in that order. Okay, in exactly this order. So you have to memorize it in that order. So what you can do, again, you can actually practice it like this. Yeah, this is what some of our teachers teach us. Okay, so you can, you know, you use your fingers like doing dhikr, you know, like doing dhikr. You're using your fingers. You can see my fingers. Okay, okay, like this, right? So we would do this. Okay, for every anmala, this is this space is called an anmala in Arabic. Okay, in English, you know what it's called? Huh? I think it's called the word is very strange. We never use it, but I think it's called a distal pharynx or something like that. It's a very strange word, but I only looked it up because I was teaching Umrah and teaching people how much to cut their hair, you know, for tahallul. So it's called a distal pharynx. We can look it up later. Okay, so anyway, in Arabic it's called an anmala. So you can do like this. Okay, you can do huwa huma hum, hiya huma hunna, anta antuma antum, anti antuma antunna, ana nahnu. Okay, so whenever we get new verbs, that's how we would practice, you know, verbalizing or rather putting the pronouns on each verb, you know, and coming up with a verb form that corresponds with that particular pronoun. So for example, when we are, let's say we are doing a verb called writing, yaktub, yeah, yaktubu. So we will practice it like that as well. Yaktubu, yaktubani, yaktubuna, taktubu, taktubani, taktubina. Taktubu, taktubani, taktubuna, taktubina, taktubani, taktubani, taktubna. Taktubna. Ana aktubu, nahnu naktubu. So this is how we would practice saying it, you know. So it's something that's that is a useful tool for you to learn, so that you can learn to vocalize it and you can learn to internalize it. Practically, we of course we don't actually use all the verbs when we are or rather all the verb forms corresponding to each pronoun when we are speaking. Sometimes we are very casual when we speak. So for example, yaktubu, yaktubani, yaktubuna, taktubu, taktubani, yaktubna. Okay, so this verb yaktubna is rarely used. Okay, I rarely use it to refer to a group of a group of female when we are a group of female. So when we are speaking, we would probably say, I would actually vocalize it as yaktubuna, even though I'm referring to a group of females. But okay, when you're writing, when you're reading, you have to use the formal Arabic. And that's how even people who don't actually speak formal Arabic, or they make these types of mistakes when they write. I'm talking about Arab speakers. They would native Arab speakers, even though they make these mistakes when they are speaking, but when they are writing, they don't make these mistakes. Okay, so we can be quite sure when they say yaktubna, they are referring to a group of females. Okay, a group of females. Right? Okay. Right. Okay. Questions? Hmm? Yeah. Yeah, you know that this is something interesting. That you know that when two females and they meet each other, they would say Assalamualaikum. Okay, and then they would respond to the one giving the salam, as with Waalaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, but the correct way, you know, to say it in Arabic when a group of females meet another group of females is Assalamu alaikunna. Wa assalamu alaikunna, because kunna refers to a group of females. And then they would respond to that group of females who give them salam with wa alaikunna salam. Okay, so nobody uses this, okay, in practice. But you know where we find this? In Alibaba Bujang Lapuk. You know, P. Ramlee uses it. So they said that actually some people told me, you know, P. Ramlee, he actually studied Arabic. You know, when he wrote the script, that's why there were certain things that he mentions in the dialogue that actually indicates to the possibility of him actually knowing Arabic, because he could actually use, you know, he could actually put these words. Of course, it could be the actors who did it, you know, or maybe some of his stage assistants helped him out, you know. But the fact is that actually they use the pronouns correctly. Yeah. Okay, type. No questions? No questions. Okay, type. So if there are no questions, okay, we'll just go through what we went through last week, okay, and then we will read the book, inshallah ta'ala, Madinah Reader. Okay, so last week we went through a number of things. Okay, from amongst the things that we went through was a group of words. Okay, a group of words. So we talked about words, kalam, in Arabic. So kalam is made up of 3 different word categories. The first one is al-isim, which translates to nouns. Okay, so these would be things, for example, like a house, a car, a room, and so on and so forth. Yeah, or it could be pronouns, like what we just went through just now. Okay, so pronouns in Arabic is called dhamir. and the jama of it is dhamair. Okay, so I wrote it in the jama on the list, so you can just take note that the singular is dhamir, the jama is dhamair. Okay, so this is something also that is peculiar to the Arabic language. There is no formula for you to add an s at the end, or for you to double it to indicate that it's jama, again, like how we do it in Malay, but rather it's a derived word from the original word form. So the pattern differs from word to word, so it just comes with experience. Okay, so we just have to read more, go through more words, and then we will see that certain things have patterns and certain things don't have patterns. Okay, so we'll just have to go through that. Okay, so the jama is dhamair, so like the 14 pronouns that we went through just now, the 14 dhamair: huwa, huma, hum, hiya, huma, hunna, anta, antuma, antum, anti, antuma, antunna, ana, nahnu. Okay, so these are all nouns. The second word category are, or rather is, verbs. Okay, so verbs is the next word category. So verbs are doing words, so they express something like a person running, a person sitting, a person jumping, and so on and so forth, opening a door. Okay, so this would be verbs. Okay, so for example, yaktubu means writing. Okay, so when we actually go through the different verb permutations, next week you will see that actually when you want to say he writes and she writes and then they writes, yeah, and so on and so forth, you have to morph the original word into a different word form. Okay, right. So the second category is verbs. Okay, and then the third category are particles. Okay, so verb, sorry, is we call them fi'al, or the jamak it's called af'al. Af'al is the jamak. Okay, so the last category is harf. Okay, harf is a particle. Okay, and a particle in Arabic is a word that doesn't fall into any of the former categories. So it's not an isim, it's not a noun, it's not a fi'al, it's not a verb. We would call that word a particle. Okay, so it's not really a preposition, because some prepositions are actually nouns in Arabic. So they would actually fall into the category of isim. Okay, it's not too apparent to you right now, but when we do a formal let's say a formal when we formally address each of these prepositions, or what is equivalent to a preposition in the English language, then you will see that there's a difference between the two in terms of how it is treated in the Arabic language. And I ask you to memorize the 6. So I hope you all memorize the 6 already. Yeah, memorize. Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, so very easy. Those 6 ones, and I think those 6 are the ones that we will mainly be using in Madinah Reader books 1 and 2. Okay, so that should keep you occupied, inshallah ta'ala, or rather that should suffice for you for the next couple of months, inshallah ta'ala, and then we'll add on other particles for you to memorize. Okay, right. So we have these 3 word forms, and then for the first word form, okay, the first word form, or rather the first type of word, which is isim. Yeah, there is also a type of word that we introduced last week, which is called isim ishara. Okay, isim ishara are demonstrative words, or demonstrative nouns. Yeah, I think sometimes they call it demonstrative pronouns also. Okay, that they are actually, they point to something. Okay, so the one that we learned last week was hadha. So inshallah ta'ala, this week we'll learn a new one. So we'll go to Madinah Reader, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so let's open up our Madinah Reader. So you all did this exercise already? You did this exercise, okay. Okay, so these are the things, we'll just review the things that we studied last week. So last week we studied, we learned how to ask questions, okay. So we use this interrogative ma, and I mentioned that ma refers to something without an akal, without intellect, okay. So we would call this, oh, hang on, redo this, yeah. So this is something that is ghairu akil. Okay, ghairu means other than, okay. So here it could mean not agil. So not something with an intellect. We would use this demonstrative, or sorry, this interrogative word here, ma. Okay, so ma hadha, with this demonstrative pronoun. Ma hadha meaning what is this? Okay. And then to answer that, we would use the isim isyara again, the demonstrative. Hadha kitabun. Okay, hadha kitabun, meaning that this is a book. Okay, so that's what we learned, because in the exercise there was actually a picture of a book. Okay.
Ustaz tak share screen eh?
Sorry.
You're not sharing screen eh?
Oh, you can't see my screen. Sorry. I
Tak,
thought you
nampak
were.
muka Ustaz je.
Okay. Bismillah. Thanks. Okay. So this is the interrogative, okay, ma, and this is the demonstrative, okay, hadha. So this is istifham, and this is isim isyara, okay. Ma hadha meaning what is this, and then the answer, because we were pointing to a book, so the answer would be hadha kitabun, okay. Right. And then the next thing that we learn, okay, instead of just asking what is this, we ask, is this something? So we can clarify. Yeah. Ahadha baitun. Okay. So this is again another interrogative. Okay. It means, is this? Okay. Or it could mean are as well. Okay. Ahadha baitun, is this a house? And then the answer would be, this is something that we call harful jawab. Okay, so this is an answer, and it's the same word that we use in Malay, harful jawab. Okay, meaning yet, meaning naam, naam meaning yes. Okay, yes, this is a house. Okay, طيب. And then the next one, if it wasn't a house, then we would answer la. Okay, so this is something that we call nafi. Okay, it's the same word that we use in Malay as well. Nafi, that means we deny it. No, it's not a house. Okay, la hadha masjidun. No, rather this is a masjid. Okay, and then man hadha, man is an istifham, an interrogative for an akil. Something or someone in this case with intellect. Hadha. Together with the demonstrative, the isyara. Yeah. Okay, so this is, and we're referring to an agil. So what would be an agil? It would be human beings. So Adami would be agil. Okay. It would be malaika also. So the malak, okay, would also be agil. The jinn and the shayatin, they are also considered agil. Okay, so these are breakdowns, okay, of what we would consider to be agil. But if it's a cat, okay, then we would probably refer to it as, or rather we would ask mahadha, okay, asking what it is. Okay, so here there's something, some things for you to note. Hadha, it says here, is pronounced as hadha. So typically you will find in the Quran that there's a small alif mat there, okay, just to indicate that the origin of it is like this, hadha. Okay, so hadha is pronounced, this one, hadha, is pronounced as hadha, but it's written without the first alif because this is the method of writing in the Arabic language. So there are always peculiarities, just like why in the English language do we spell rights with a W in front, you know, W-R-I-T-E, and if the N of the word is a silent E, you know, then why do we have it, you know? So there are always peculiarities, and sometimes these peculiarities have some historical significance. We don't always know them, but this is how it's written, and you can't write it like this, okay? You just write it like this because this is something that is from the Arabic language. Okay, طيب. Then the next thing is mentioned here. Arabic has no corresponding to the English is, i.e. Arabic has no copula. Okay, so I myself actually I wouldn't know what a copula is again until I actually started teaching Arabic. So basically this is it refers to is, are, was, were. Okay, so these are we call them copula, or it could be like being verbs, you know, being verbs. So that means showing that this is being something, you know, that al-baytu jadidun, meaning that the states of the house is that it is new. So we would call them also being verbs or copula. Okay, and the third thing that's mentioned, that there is no word in Arabic that corresponds to a in English, and so as in this is a book. Okay, so we don't have a word in Arabic to show you that this is a book, but rather how do we show that this is just another book and not a particular book? We add the end sound at the end of the Arabic noun. So kitabun, baitun, masjidun is the Arabic indefinite article corresponding to English an. Okay, sorry, an. N. Okay, this is the end sound called tanwin. Okay, so what this means essentially is that in Arabic, okay, to show whether it's something that is definite or indefinite, so we call this definite or indefinite specifications. Okay, we refer to it as, let me just find something. Okay, free form. Okay, type. So we refer to it as ta'yin. Ta'yin. Okay, ta'yin. Okay, which comes from the word ain. So ain may mean an eye, but it also could mean particularizing something, you know, showing that this is a particular thing. So in terms of ta'yin, okay, you have to know that there are two general forms of expression. One of them is called ma'rifah. Okay, so ma'rifah. The other one is called nakirah. Okay, nakirah. So ma'rifah, when we say something that is ma'rifah, we mean that this is a particular thing. Okay, so that means that this is something that is specific or particular. Okay, it's a known thing. But when the thing is unknown, okay, indefinite, okay, we call it nakirah. Okay, so we could say that this is definite and this is indefinite thing. Okay, So if something is indefinite, we would put a tanwin at the end. Baitun. Okay, so there's a tanwin here. So this N sound or nun sound. Okay, by the way, tanwin actually means bringing out the nun, okay, in the word. So this is an indication that this is an indefinite noun. Okay, it's nakira. But if it's something that's specific, we might refer to it as al-baytu. So we would put the alif walam here at the beginning, which corresponds to the English the most times, okay? And we would drop the tanwin here. So this would be something that is ma'rifah, so it's a particular house. Okay, so the tanwin is actually an indication of something being definite or indefinite. When the tanwin exists, it is an indefinite item. Okay, so it can be any house. When it doesn't exist, okay, it can come in this form or it can come in another form, inshallah ta'ala, which we'll go through later. So with the alif walam, to show that it is a specific house, okay, the nun likewise at the end, so the tanwin is also dropped and it just becomes a dhamma here. It can take other shakal as well. So it can take a fatha, it can take a kasra, but here for the purpose of this lesson, we will just indicate it as a dhamma here instead of a dhammatain. Okay? Type. So the fourth thing that is mentioned here, the particle are, this is something that we call an istifham. Meaning that we are actually looking to understand. Okay, it comes from the word faham. Okay, looking to understand. So istifham is talab, faham, is to ask so that we come to understand a thing. So the particle are placed at the beginning of a statement turns it into a question. Example, this is a house, we would say hadha baitun. But if we are asking whether this is a house or not, then we would ask ahadha baitun. See, this is the thing that differentiates between the first and the second, because this turns the statement into a question. Okay? Right? So this is vocabulary. Okay, so I think there's no point for me to go through each of these one by one with you, but rather you just have to memorize it. And yeah, this is kerchief. I don't know whether there's actually a word kerchief without the hand here, whether you can actually say kerchief. I don't know. Maybe Shanawas, do you know whether you can actually say kerchief?
I think there's a typo in the
It's a typo, huh? It's a typo. Okay. Yeah, because some things, you know, when you study Arabic, then you learn some things about the the English language. Sometimes, you know. Okay, type. Okay, so so you just have to memorize these things. So how do you memorize these things? You just have to just play them in your mind as you are doing your daily chores. You know, you're taking out a shirt from the cupboard, then just play it in your mind that this is qamis. When you walk in the streets and you walk past a doctor's office, then you would say tobib. You know, you just play it in your mind, tobib. And then if you walk in front of someone you don't like, you can say donkey, hemar. No, don't do that. Huh? It's just a joke. Okay, that's yeah, say that. But you know what I mean. I mean, you just play it in your mind. Okay, so you don't actually have to sit down for an hour just to memorize it. You look at it. Maybe you can split it into half or into quarters. Huh? You can split it into half or into quarters, and then you just go about your day. And you know, as you come across a boy, you would just say walad. You come across a student, someone in school uniform, you say talib. And then you come across a man, you just play it in your mind, rajul, you know, tajir, and so on and so forth, okay? So this is an easier way for you to memorize the vocabulary, inshallah ta'ala. Taib. So we're going to lesson 2 now from the book, okay? So lesson 2, Ad-Dars Uthani, the second lesson, okay? The feature of this lesson is the isim ishara. So again, this is another ishara that you are being introduced to here. Al-ishara, okay, which is dhalika. So it is similar to hadha, but hadha refers to the qarib, refers to things that are near. But rather dhalika, it is said in reference to things that are a distance away. Okay, some distance away. Then we call that ba'id in Arabic. So these are far things. We would refer to them as dhalika. Okay. So we can go through the what's written in the book. So for example, if you're pointing to something far away, we would say ma dhalika. So we are asking, what is that? Okay. Instead of what is this. Okay. So the answer would be dhalika najmun. That is a star. Okay. So here the author is demonstrating whether this thing is near or far by using both isim ishara in the statement. So hadha masjidun, because it's near, we would say hadha masjidun, but this one is far. So we would say dhalika baytun. The one that is far is a house. Okay. And likewise, hadha hisanun. This is a horse. But dhalika, far away, okay, we find a donkey. Dhalika himarun. Baik. And we could do the same thing like what we did with haza. So that means we add an istifham in front and we can clarify, okay, the statement and turn it into a question. So instead of saying dhalika kalbun, we are asking now, adhalika kalbun, is that a dog? Okay, so presumably this is quite far away. And then the answer would be la dhalika qittun. No, that is a cat. Okay. And then we could also use the istifham ma, like what we did for hadha, ma hadha. So we could ask ma dhalika, what is that? Instead of asking ma hadha, what is this? Okay, dhalika sarirun. That is a bed. Okay, bed. Okay, طيب. And likewise, we could also put the istifham for akil here. Man hadha wa man dhalika. Who is this and who is that? So the answer would be hadha mudarrisun. This is a teacher. Wa dhalika imamun. And that is an imam. This must be from Uzbekistan, based on the masjid and the way they've drawn the imam. Okay, could be. Okay, ma dhalika. Okay, what is that? So we use this istifham ma dhalika, that. Dhalika hajarun. That is a stone. Okay. And this and that. Okay. Hadha sukkarun. This is sugar. Wadhalika labanun. And that is milk. Okay. So this is actually a very short lesson. So they've gone straight into the exercise. Okay, so tamrin actually means exercise. Again, not riyadha exercise, but this is rather exercise as in exercise that you do, writing exercises, you know, that type of exercise, practice exercises. Okay, we would call them tamrin. Okay, so the jama' would be tamarin. Okay, and here, okay, they've used command form verbs, iqra waktub, okay, so meaning read and write. So it means that they are asking us here to read and write. Okay, so read it, vocalize it, and then write it out, because writing will actually bring you benefits. Okay, right. So just go through it. Nothing new here. Okay, we've gone through all the words and the vocabulary in the text before this. Okay, so there's some points to remember. In this lesson, we learn the use of dhalika, meaning that. Okay, and wa. Okay, meaning and. Okay, just a note of caution that this doesn't always mean and. Sometimes it can mean something else. It can mean or, it can mean by. Okay, it can even mean or sometimes. Okay, but here it means and. So you take it that actually for now, for the purpose of your lessons, it means and. But if you read a translation and then you find that actually the translator has translated it into something else, he could have made a mistake, or it could be that maybe it was something else, because it's not a wow that demonstrates that this is and. That means it's referring to something and something, but rather it could be something else. It's a possibility. Okay, so there are indicators to it, but we'll leave that to another lesson, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so just take note, dhalika is pronounced dhalika, just like hadha is pronounced as hadha. Okay, even though it's not written. Okay, the alif is not written, it is still pronounced as dhalika. So usually in the Quran, we would find a small alif there. Okay, dhalika. And the word wow, when you write it, you always write it close to the next word. Okay, so let's say if I were to write Ahmad, okay, wa Muhammad, I wouldn't write it like this. Okay, but rather I would write it like this. Okay, so it would be almost joined to the following word. Okay. Okay, so because Arabic there's no commas, and my wife just showed me a dictionary that says that kerchief is actually a word. Okay, it's a square cloth used as a head covering or worn as a scarf around the neck. It's kerchief. So the one that we use in our hands to wipe our mouths and dry our hands, we would call that handkerchief. So it's not, it's kerchief. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Right. So that's the end of lesson 2. Do you have any questions? Fadal. Yeah. Okay, so my wife just reminded me, just to remind all of you, that don't write commas in Arabic, because they don't actually exist in the Arabic language.
Ustaz,
Fadal.
sorry, apa ni, pasal yang popular tu.
Yeah.
So for was and were, there's this word kana, kan? Is that a translation of was?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, because I'm just wondering, is it only for is and are, there's no Arabic translation or no
Mm-mm.
Arabic equivalent?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good um question. Okay. So the Arabic words, the Arabic fi'l. So let's just open this up. Let's just share screen again. So let me just go through this. Okay, so the Arabic words yeah, kana. Kana yakunu. Okay, kana is this is a madi. So this is some what do you call that? This is a past tense verb. Okay, let's I didn't know that can write there. This is here. Okay, this would be madin. Okay, whereas this is a mudari.
Start share screen, is that?
You can't see my screen?
Nope.
Okay, hang on. Thanks. Okay, so kana yakunu. Okay, kana yakunu. Sometimes we say that this is. Okay, so it functions a bit like a copula. Okay, so and is, are, was, were. Okay, and it could function like a copula. Okay, because we could say kana. Okay, like we're referring to Ali. Kana Aliyun Taliban. Sorry, Taliban. Okay, Taliban. Kana Aliyun Taliban. That Ali was a student. Okay, so you could say that in this sense, okay, it does function like a copula, but there are also other ways for you to use kana yakunu. For example, I could say kana Aliyun, okay, yadrus. Fil madrasah. Okay, so what would this actually translate into? Kana Aliyun yadrus fil madrasah. Kan yadrus fil madrasah. What would this translate to? This would translate to Ali had studied, you know, in the school. Okay, so here, because we use the past, the madi, and the mudari together, which is not a common construct in the Arabic language, but when we use that together, we mean that he had studied, you know, meaning that he had been a student in a particular madrasa. So here we would, it means something that is equivalent to, if I'm not wrong, it would be, do you call it past participle? Past perfect tense. We call it past perfect tense, sorry. We would call it the past perfect tense. So to say that this always functions as a copula, okay, may not be that accurate, because sometimes it functions, you know, to demonstrate something else in the Arabic language. Like in this case, you know, when we say kan yadrus, meaning that he had studied, meaning that this is a past participle. Yeah, past participle, past perfect. Sorry, past perfect tense. Yeah, past perfect tense. Okay, so we there are a few Arabic words that that function in that manner. A few Arabic verbs, you know, like sara, like kada, you know, that they function in this manner. So inshallah ta'ala, when we come to it, we will go through it and it'll become clear inshallah ta'ala how we use this. Yeah. Okay, I don't know.
Jadi Ustaz, so sorry, so macam for instance, if we say that Ali is a student, we can say Aliyun Talibun. But if
Yeah,
we want to say that Ali was a student, then we definitely have to introduce some kind of word to indicate that he was a student in the past.
and we would probably use kana in that, you know,
Okay.
kana.
Yeah. So,
Or,
so
or, or maybe we would say qabla zaman, you know,
I see. Okay.
qabla zaman Ali talib, you know, maybe we would say that. Qabla zaman Ali talibun. Yeah, Aliyun talibun. We would use something like that.
Ustaz, sorry, I have one more question.
Fadal.
Macam Zalika ni, we know
Hmm.
in Suratul Baqarah, it's referring to macam apa? Zalika
Hmm.
kitabu
Yeah,
la raiba fihi.
yeah.
Uh, how do we explain the use of Zalika in that sense? Sorry, Ustaz.
Yeah, this apa tu in the Quran kan. That's why apa tu when we study tafsir, you know, they say that actually we need all three sciences at the very least lah. You know, we need nahu, we need saraf, and we need balagha. We need all three. Okay, because sometimes some things, some explanations just don't work with nahu and saraf. And usually we will only study this when we have achieved some level of mastery with these two. You can see my screen, right? Yeah. So when we study nahu and saraf, we would say that hadha refers to this, and dhalika refers to that, you know. So this and that, near and far. Okay, so near and far. But when we study balagha, we say that there are many instances in classical Arabic when the Arabs themselves, when they say dhalika, they don't refer to something that is far, meaning that it's not really something that is physically far, but something that is high and lofty. You know, so the Quran, in this case, dhalikal kitab, okay, meaning that there's a nuance here, and that nuance is that it is lofty. And this thing we find it a lot in the Quran, you know, because like for example in Surah Ad-Duha, yeah, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, wala saufa yu'tika fatarda. So Allah Subhanahu wa Taala says la saufa yu'tika, okay. So when we study nahu and saraf without balagha, they say that there is something that shows mustaqbal, that means something that is to happen in the future, and we can use sin or we can use saufa, you know. But when we say something or when we use sin instead of saufa, sin means something that is within the near future. Okay, this is something that for saufa, it is something that is in the distant future. Okay, so in our speak, we would say that this one means wait long. This one coming soon. They say akan datang. This I say it like how Chinese would say it, akan datang, this one. Okay, so this is near future and this is distant future. But that because this is a promise by Allah Subhanahu wa taala to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to motivate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for da'wah, so the linguists, when they look at this and they consider it in terms of its balagha, they say that this doesn't Allah Subhanahu wa taala is not telling Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam later on, much later, then we will give you until you are happy, but rather this is to show the magnitude, of the gifts that Allah Subhanahu wa taala is going to give to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they say that they are qaedah, and the ancient Arabs, they understood this. When it's used in a certain structure, they say that it refers to something else. So it refers to something like you will be getting great gifts rather than you have to wait a long time to be able to get those gifts. So something like that. So you get this only with balagha, and you won't get this with nahu and saraf. Wallahu a'lam.
Thank you, Ustaz.
You're welcome. Okay. Questions? So actually, there someone typed something. Okay. Oh no, this is from Zoom. Okay. Sorry. Right. Okay. So something I want to ask you, how do you think, what about the pace of the lessons so far? Because there are some of you who have never gone through this before, and some of you who have, so there's a gap between the experience that some of you have, as opposed to others. So what do you think? Do you think that this is too slow? Because definitely we can do 2 lessons in a day. I can go much faster in regards to the pronouns. But if you think that actually that you need time to absorb and to digest, then I'll just stick to this to this pace. What do you think of the pace?
I think this pace okay, Ustaz.
This pace is okay. Okay, we'll go at this pace for now. Okay, and this is the pace that a bit fast. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, like that from the questions, that some there are people who already have experience, so that's why they ask certain questions. So the ones who are new to studying Arabic, maybe you just focus on the key things that that we spoke about during class, the things that we want to deliver and focus on for the week. Focus on that and try to memorize, digest and memorize those things, inshallah ta'ala. And the other things that come during the lessons, I mean, you can take them down as notes, for additional information, or you can just pause and put them in a placeholder somewhere. Okay, I use the term placeholder because this is what my ex-boss, my Australian ex-boss, they have terms for things. So they will say, let's put them in a placeholder. That means we just KIV it for a while, we put them somewhere, and maybe we'll come back and revisit it in a couple of weeks time or a couple of months time when we have more experience studying the Arabic language. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay, so the key takeaways for today are the 14 pronouns. You definitely have to memorize those. Okay, you definitely have to remember the isim ishara that we went through. Okay, hada and dhalika. Okay, you have to go through those. You also have to go through the interrogatives, man, ma, a, and you have to remember how they are used. So look at the examples and try it out, and you know you can do something fun over the course of the week, like put different statements with a, put different words with ma and man, apart from or over and beyond what is already shown in the examples in the text. Okay, and the other thing is that you have to remember also the jawab. Okay, the jawab and the nafi. Okay, harful jawab, na'am. Okay, how we answer questions with na'am and la. Okay, so that is the other thing that you have to take back and you have to internalize. Okay, so memorize the pronouns, memorize the isim ishara, go through the interrogatives, and familiarize yourself with how to answer questions. Okay, with na'am and la something. Okay, so those are the 4 takeaways for this week. Okay, any other questions?
Ustaz, I think I missed out one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just what is domir dengan domair? Apa tu?
Okay, so domir and domair, tadi kita, I showed you this, right? Arabic word chart. Okay, the Arabic word chart. So they are pronouns. Okay, they are pronouns. Domair is the jama', the plural, and at domir, okay, is the mufrad. Okay, singular. Okay, so just remember that in Arabic there are domir that refer to the mufrad, the singular, that refer to the jama', plural, and jama' in the Arabic language is 3 or more. And there are also those that refer to the dual, okay, which is known as, let me just remove this. Oh, sorry. Let me just. So, okay, you see, I'm still getting used to using this. So anyway, this is, we call this muthanna. Okay, it comes from athani, okay, which means the second, or ithnain, ithnani, which means 2. Okay, so it refers to 2 people. Okay, so there are domir, there are pronouns that refer to the mufrad, the singular. There are pronouns that refer to the dual, the muthanna, and there are those that refer to the jama', the plural, which is 3 or more. Right?
Ustaz, jadi huwa is domir.
Apa dia, sorry? Again?
Huwa
Mm-hmm.
is domir. Huma and whom is
Yeah,
domair.
those are also domir. Those are also pronouns, but referring to 2 people. And then home referring to 3 people.
Okay, never mind. Later I think I ask my wife.
Okay, dia macam gini. Okay, kalau satu orang Ali, okay, satu orang Ali masuk, kita would say huwa dakhal. Okay, maksud huwa ni apa? This is a pronoun. Maksudnya nama kata ganti. Okay, kata ganti diri. Okay, huma. Huwa. Okay, huwa dakhala. Okay, Ali dakhala. Okay, jadi huwa dakhala maksudnya Ali, satu orang lelaki masuk. Okay, kalau dua orang, Ali dengan Ahmad, we would say apa? Huma. Yang masuk ni dua orang, Ali dengan Ahmad. Okay, kalau Ali, Ahmad dengan apa? Dengan Mahmud masuk. Ali, Ahmad dengan Mahmud masuk, then we would say hum. Hum dakhalu. All three of them masuk. So dia adalah kata ganti nama. Kata ganti nama. Okay, pronoun. That's what it means. Okay, itulah yang kita sebutkan domir tadi. Domir satu, banyak domair. Okay. Baik. Apa, insyaAllah kita akan ulang-ulang. Okay, we'll go through this again. Every lesson kita review the previous lesson, and also midweek you have to do something. Okay, because you have to do something to maintain what was delivered during the week, because if not you will forget. So we have to do something midweek. I found a set of videos which is quite good. Okay, but however, you know that with videos, because someone else taught it, so dia ada this one which relates to the lesson that we did last week. Tapi dia ada masuk something that we plan to go through in 3 weeks time. So I have to save it first. I cannot share some of these things with you. I have to let you internalize some of these things. Then you can watch these videos, and inshallah ta'ala it will be supplements to the lessons. Okay, but not at this point. I'm trying to think about what can we do midweek, because you don't have lessons, so that you don't lose touch. Okay, so we'll explore some things inshallah ta'ala, and we'll give you some things inshallah ta'ala midweek lah. Okay, right. Any other questions? No questions, Okay, inshallah ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all, bless our gathering, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding in the Arabic language, okay, so that we are able to understand the words of Allah, the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the statements of our ulama as well. We can read books in Arabic inshallah ta'ala. Ala hadhi niya wa la kulli niyatun salihah ma'lutfin wa afiyah. Isli sya'na kulla zahiran batinan wa ila hadratin nabi Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Iyyaka siratal ladzina Amin ya rabbal alamin. Rabbana taqabbal minna du'ana innaka antas samiul alim wa tub alaina innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Da'wahum fiha subhanakallahumma wa tahiyyatuhum fiha salam wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. This Zainal, your background interesting Apa tu?
Alamak.
Apa dia? Dragon
My shop.
Your shop dragon?
Tak, my shop.
Apa ni?
Dimsum.
Apa nama
Mak
dia?
dia
Apa nama dia?
Long dimsum.
Dimsum. You jual dimsum Oh, Masya Allah. Okay. I have to. Okay, I'll PM you insyaAllah. Nanti kita find out where the shop is. Okay, insyaAllah we'll see you next week. InsyaAllah.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Syukran, Ustaz.
Syukran,
Afwan.
Ustaz.